Why do we forget to grow spiritually? Not in books, not in rituals, but in the quiet, lived moments of life. Day after day, we move through routines, responsibilities, and distractions. We seek comfort, stability, and validation from the world around us. And yet, the deeper part of ourselves, the part that yearns for meaning, connection, and transcendence, remains neglected, hidden behind the noise of life. Spiritual growth is not a destination. It is not a skill you learn or a checklist you complete. It is a process of becoming aware, of noticing the subtle layers of existence, of opening to experiences that feel larger than the self. And yet, we forget it because the world rarely rewards noticing. It rewards productivity, visibility, achievement, and conformity. Spirit becomes quiet in the shadow of necessity. The body, the mind, and society demand attention constantly. Work, obligations, social expectations, and the endless flood of information pull the focus outward. Even our pleasures, our comforts, our distractions are ways of turning away from the inner voice. Spirit is not urgent. It does not scream. It whispers. And the louder the world, the easier it is to miss the whisper entirely. Fear also plays a role. Spiritual growth is often uncomfortable because it asks you to confront truths that are inconvenient. You may face your own impermanence, your attachments, your illusions. You may question your identity, your desires, your relationships. To stay small, to avoid this confrontation, the mind forgets, the heart shields itself, and the spirit is deferred. Memory itself is fragile. The moments when we glimpsed understanding, times of awe, silence, or insight fade with repetition. Life pressures us to forget the extraordinary and focus on the ordinary. The soul longs for reflection, but the mind prioritizes survival. Thus, spiritual growth becomes something we remember only in fragments, fleeting and faint. Spirituality is also countercultural. In a world focused on speed, accumulation, and status, the slow and invisible practices of inner growth are undervalued. Meditation, self-inquiry, compassion, reflection, these do not produce immediate, measurable results. They are invisible, subtle, and easily abandoned. We forget because forgetting is encouraged, almost rewarded. Yet forgetting is not failure. It is the natural rhythm of life. Consciousness drifts, attention wanders, the self clings to comfort. Spiritual growth requires repeated reminders, gentle persistence, and surrender to the process. We remember not by force, but by returning again and again to the question: what matters beyond the immediate, the visible, and the urgent? Even when we forget, the potential remains. Spirit is like a seed buried in soil. It may lie dormant, unseen, forgotten by the conscious mind, but it continues to exist. And when the conditions are right, a moment of silence, an encounter, suffering, or wonder, the seed awakens, and the growth becomes undeniable. Forgetting is part of the journey, but it does not erase what is possible. To grow spiritually is to align attention with awareness, to act with intention beyond personal gain, to open to the mystery of existence. Forgetting happens because life is noisy, habits are ingrained, and survival demands our focus. Remembering happens in quiet, in reflection, in courage, and in acts of love that reach beyond self. So why do we forget to grow spiritually? Perhaps because remembering is inconvenient. Perhaps because growth requires discomfort, vulnerability, and surrender. Perhaps because the world teaches us to prioritize everything but the inner life. And yet, within every person, within every day, the potential for remembering persists, waiting for stillness, for curiosity, for courage. Spiritual growth is not linear. It is cyclical, irregular, sometimes intense, sometimes imperceptible. Forgetting and remembering dance together like night and day. The key is not to judge oneself for forgetting, but to return gently, persistently, to the path of inner awareness. To live fully is to remember, repeatedly, that there is more than survival, more than distraction, more than comfort. To live fully is to nurture the seed of spirit within. Even when the world conspires to make us forget, even when our own mind forgets, the potential is always there, always waiting. So let the question remain: why do we forget? And even more importantly, how will you remember today?